Hey y'all, and welcome to Skyrim Scripting. On this episode, we're going to be implementing the interface that we made last time for making custom console commands. So if you remember, and I'm just petting nothing here, I'm petting an invisible dog. If you remember from last time, I made it so that you can create your own custom console commands. Let's take a look. Here we are in Riverwood. We got our little cat fist up, and yeah, I implemented some commands like print hello world, just kind of like that. And I also have a utility that lets you totally mess with the console and like move it to the top and like put it back on the bottom and like set the background color to like blue or something gross like that, and add a border color white. Go back to the top, get rid of that background. Yeah, and then I think if I get rid of this, it comes back at the bottom, which is fine. That's something I can fix. It's just utility I was making, but the important part isn't that I made this cute little thing that lets you mess with the console. That's just a side effect of me making a tool that lets you do stuff with the console. The point of it was that you can make your own custom console commands, and it works really good. It's really smooth. So in the last episode, what we did was we kind of pretended that we wanted to make our own command. We wanted one called gimme. So you could just say like gimme gold, or gimme gold 100, or for no particular reason, just so that we could figure out how to do it. Gimme gold 100 and multiply that number by 2, or just multiply the amount by 2, whatever. And gimme version, I'll print out the version of the gimme command. Help will print out the help. You can say gimme lockpicks S, which will add it to you silently without the little notification. Those are kind of the things that we did. We really just did this all as a way to come up with an interface, come up with something that kind of catches most of the edge cases. So here's the code that we decided that we would give to players, or to mod authors to create their own commands. Every command you want to make goes in its own file, and you can specify commands with subcommands and flags like that silent one, or options like that multiplier. And then all that happens is, after you configure your command, like all of this stuff is optional. You can just configure, you could literally just configure command gimme. And like just do that, and then say on command, do whatever you want to do. So whatever you want to do. And command will be gimme. Subcommand will be the name of a subcommand if there was one that you specified, like gimme gold, gimme lockpicks, and then you'll get a string array of all the arguments that were provided. So that's kind of it. That's what we made. But what we didn't do is implement any of this. We didn't make any of it work. There we go. Let's fix that. So what do we want to do? Well, we made this kind of empty shell that is called custom console command, which is what people extend, that has all of these non-working functions, which are all the functions that are called here. So let's make it work. The way that I want to do this is I want to make two mods, one called custom console commands, which will replace the current one that I have existing, because the current one that I have existing that I released a couple weeks ago on Nexus is pretty janky, and so this one will be better. And then it'll provide this interface, but maybe another interface if people want to do their own consoles manually without their own commands manually without using this interface. And yeah, then we'll make another one called gimme. So let me go ahead and set those up. I'll probably pause for most of this, but I'll go ahead and not launch the game. I won't launch the game. I'm going to create a new mod instead called custom console commands, and I'll make another one called gimme gold, or just gimme. gimme command. How about that? Gimme command. And right now we'll go and we'll add a quest script to a quest in gimme command so that it can register a command. So we'll just open up Creation Kit. You can open it up however you want to, as always, but I'm going to open it up in Mod Organizer 2, but you do you. There we go. Let me open it up. And I'm going to save it because it does need an ESP as gimme command. Character quest is what we're going to make. We'll just make a gimme command quest. Close and reopen that, and then add our script, and we'll just call it gimme command. Cool. Gimme command. That's it. Oh, can you not do it because the mod is called that? Oh, you can't do it because I already have one that I've been editing from last time. So we can just do gimme command from last time. I've already got it there because we made it. That's it. That's it for that one. If I edit source for this, it should pop up the right stuff. Yeah, there's what we were just looking at a second ago. It's a little bit small for you to see, but this is what we were just looking at. So we'll set that up, and then I'll go ahead and make a custom console commands. I might use the existing one I have so it has the same ESP. I might use a brand new one because I want a brand new one because this is just so much better. Let me configure my Creation Kit to write its commands to custom console commands, and I'll make a new one. Save it as custom console commands. Cool. Now this needs a quest script with a, I'm going to just make a player script so that we can catch on player load game. So I don't think you can do that with a quest script. Yeah, that's all we want. So let's call it, I don't want to call it custom console commands something because I don't want there to be scripts called custom console commands that people are responsible for using. So I'm just going to do like underscore CCC underscore quest. Something like that. Sure. Or maybe underscore custom console commands underscore quest. Something that is really obvious to the mod authors that you're not supposed to use this object. And we'll say this is a player ref, specific reference, select forced reference, cell any, should populate the player, good. And then up there we'll add a script and we'll call it like underscore custom console commands underscore player script. Or maybe I'll just call it underscore custom console commands, and that's like the main private interface for custom console commands, and it extends a reference alias. Because the custom console commands, like public interface, I want to be a public script with global properties that people can call stuff on. Private player script for custom console commands, and we'll make it hidden so it doesn't show up for anyone. Hit OK, save. That's already 800, so we don't really need to compact our active form IDs, but I still do that out of habit to make sure that everything is ESLable. And let me set these up for use in Visual Studio Code. I made the two separate projects. I'm just going to move the gimme command script into the actual gimme command project, and then I will move the other one into the custom console command one into custom console commands. Okay, I've got them all opened up. Here's how this is going to go. So I have my gimme command here, which extends a console command. Console command is coming from custom console commands, which we've got this, and we have a player script if we want to use it, which we'll want to have events like on init event. Come on, I don't want that. I don't want that. Come on, there we go. Come on, there we go. Jesus, jeepers rather. On player load game. We're going to want to do things there. I do want to actually use this to store float currently installed version. Make it a property. Auto. And it's actually version 2.0 of this. I might, before I release, try and merge this into the old ESP so that it's the same, but we'll see. We'll see. The old Quest ID is probably 800 as well, so we're gonna handle that stuff. But here is what we're going to write for the console command. We may also have a higher level script called custom console commands. So script name custom console commands, which is like a set of global helper functions that rely on the player script for persistence. And here's the main thing. We want to recommend to people that they use this console command so that they can write their commands, like we have the gimme command here. Now, short FYI, the console command, the custom console commands, the way that that's going to work is it's going to use this library that I just pulled together called console helper. That's the one that in last episode I showed you, and maybe at the beginning of this one, I forgot. They can just do a bunch of stuff in the console. It has like a ton of different, these are all the functions available on it right here. You can do stuff like toggle the background, change the XY position of it. You can open and close it, minimize it, change the text color, the border color. There's 3 text inputs in the console, and you can change any of them with this. And you can print to the console, you can execute commands, and then somewhat most importantly for us, you can register custom console commands, and you can enable or disable the underlying console's support for handling the commands itself. Now this comes with its own version of the console flash file. Most of this works if you're using the vanilla flash file. So if for some reason folks use other mods and have conflicts and they use the other mods console Swift, some of this stuff may work, but it's not guaranteed because all of this is basically created to work with the vanilla console, plus the extra functionality that we added to be able to fully support custom console commands in a great non-janky way. So we're going to call some of the functions on this. I'll go ahead and scroll down to register custom commands, which is right here. And it just calls into something else. So how are we even gonna get started? Well, I'll tell you. The first thing we're gonna do is I'm gonna go down in the corner so I'm out of the way of the code, because we're gonna probably write a bunch of it. Bye, boo. There we go. And jeepers creepers, let's just make it so that when the gimme command gets run, then the on command event runs. So we'll just say print hello from gimme. You pass some arguments, and we'll print the arguments. And here we'll just config gimme, and that's all we'll care about. We'll ignore all of the other options. Cool. So when we register a command, we need a registration of command somewhere. I don't want a limit of 128 commands, so we'll use SKSE to resize the arrays of commands. We need persistence here, so we'll use our player script because this represents this is a reference alias, and it works. Let's also mark these other ones as hidden. I'm also just going to be kind of picky about the way that I name things here. Let's mark these hidden because you're never going to want to attach them to objects, including console command, because you're going to attach your own. Hidden makes it not show up in those drop downs in Creation Kit. So when you create a command, let's like register a command here. So we'll say like register command string command name. There's a bunch of aliases though too, and then whenever we want to check to see if whenever we want to check to see if a command ran, we might want to, here, let me support this. Let's go to gimme command. Right now we're passing an alias G, but let's say we say add alias, command alias for gimme, alias equals gim. Let's support that at some point. But we'll get to that. Let's just make the hello world work. So whenever you register something, we want to put it into an array that we can search for whenever the command, the console gets called with something. So let's have a, let's see, the currently installed version of custom console commands. Actually have this get set to whatever this says, the float get current version global and function. This is a function junction 2.0 custom console commands dot get current version. Okay, cool. Let's have an array of like command prefixes that we search for, which could be the aliases, but it could be the command itself, and we'll map those to command names. So let's say string array may or may not need to be a property. We can try and keep stuff encapsulated here, including maybe this. I'll start that as a property. String array, registered command names, and then we'll have a string array that is like the prefixes to search for, which could be an alias. So there's registered command names, but then there's registered command name, command prefixes. So, and we'll need an unregistered command. Let's put that on the public interface. Let's just have a bunch of to-dos here. Deal with that probably out of episode. So command needs to get this. We are a quest script, so we can actually have our own. We can actually have our own persistence. The only gotcha is whatever we persist on the quest script is going to be just for that one command. So persist things for this command only, and then we can have stuff here. We made this reference alias player script so that we could grab on player load game, but it's really annoying to get a reference to a reference alias, so instead of putting these things here, I'm actually going to make a quest script real quick. Cool, I've just got two scripts now, and I'm going to attach this one here. Got this quest script right here. Should be able to attach via CK. We don't need to restart CK. Cool, I've got this one here. Now one thing I noticed is that I can see, whoops, let me not show hidden scripts because that will take forever. I can see these ones for console helper, so I'll want to actually go into my console helper project, and I'm going to want to go to those scripts because they have a reference alias for the player load game as well. And I'm going to make these ones hidden so that they don't show up for folks, because these are supposed to be private and not show up in that list. And so that's what hidden does. Cool, but let's associate these. One of these is a player script and the other one is a quest script. Here's a private quest script associated. Cool. And now let's make sure that the player script that's associated is the right one. That's the quest script. Let me associate the player script. So I'm just going to type custom, search for hidden. This is the player script. I've just got these silly names that nobody else is going to run into. Okay, dope, 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 dopey dopey dope. What do we do next? And now I've got these. So what do we do when we register a command? It's almost like registering a command prefix, because there's a command name, which is the top of a command name associated, and there's the string prefix. So when you register your command, then we'll have a different one for subcommands, which is associated with the command somehow. We'll figure it out. Command, we need to get a reference to this quest. I used a quest because it's usually easier to get a reference to. So let's say, should we map it to this using Creation Kit? Or should we get it by its form ID? If we had a property or a function, folks will be able to get it themselves. Let's do this. Let's on the quest script itself add a helper to get it. So we'll say, we'll make a function that actually returns one of these that's global. We'll say that function get instance global end function. This is a singleton pattern. And we'll return, let's do string function get mod name global end function. Now this is probably the only place you're gonna have to do it. Let's return game get form from file. The form is 800. That's the quest. We can double check, but that should be the quest. Yeah, it's 800. The first ID of the quest will always be 800 when you make a new mod. And then it's custom console commands.esp as this. Cool, so we can get the instance. So we can say custom console commands get instance register command prefix command like, should we do command name or just command here? Let's do command. We can be really explicit. We can say the command equals the command. We don't need to do that, but we could say the prefix equals. And now if you provide an alias, then we'll register that one too. So that the alias is associated with the alias is not a variable. We're not allowed to call this thing alias because alias actually exists as a thing. So let's replace alias with shorthand, short, command alias, shortcut, command alias. Shit, what should we call it? I think I'm just gonna call it short. Or we could call it command alias. But we use it for other things other than commands. We use it for flags and options. So short for like shorthand. Maybe like a long and a short. Whatever, that'll do. So now these should be registered. And now that they're registered, we need to tell it that this is who to invoke when the command is run. Thank goodness this extends a quest because we can use a form array which we can resize with SKSE. Whew, thank goodness. So when we register a command prefix, let's pass the console command that we're supposed to call. Something like that. Registered command, registered console commands, which is an array of this, but I'll make it a form array so that it can be resized with SKSE. Registered command names, registered command prefixes. So like when we search for this. So whenever you type a console command, this is what determines which command should be run. This gets the full display name of the command being run. List of the console command instances which should be invoked when a command is run. So let's just add to these three arrays. And then what we'll do is we'll actually hook it up. We'll actually hook it up finally so that the command running works. Do you want to do that right now so that you see something fun? Because it's kind of been a while since we've done something fun. Sure. Sure. Okay. Say whenever you load the game for the first time or load it, we'll run a function that will start listening for commands. Function, let me put all these properties up above all the functions. Function listen for commands function. So whenever you install the mod for the first time, so this is a mod installation. Mod installation on load game after when mod was previously installed. We'll say custom console commands get instance dot listen for commands. Cool. Listen for commands. Now that's going to use console helper to register a command. Now if the event being registered is already in there, then it just won't do it again. So this should be okay to keep doing and doing and doing. In my experience, SKSE event registration needs to be restarted every time you run the game or do a load game. At least that's been my experience. Someone can tell me that I'm wrong. Don't tell me that I'm wrong, just tell me something else. So what we'll do is we'll say console helper dot register for custom commands, and you give it an event that you want to be executed whenever there's a custom command. So we'll say on custom console command internal, because we may have our own event that we send out to folks called on custom console command. So now we have an event called this is the event that we're going to listen to, custom console command internal. So we'll register for that SKSE event, register for mod event. That's the name of it. Okay, say string get mod event name. Nah, I was gonna put it in a little helper up there. So when that happens, we'll run on custom console command internal, or just on custom console command. So event on custom console command, we'll get this up and running, I promise. And events, string event name, which is just going to be custom console command internal, we really don't care. String the command that got run, we super care about that, it's command text. And then a float, which we don't care about. And then form, which is the sender, which we also don't care about. So we want to parse the command text, but for now, let's just, I don't know, print out, hey, custom console commands was called with this. We'll say console utility or helper dot print custom console commands was called with and command text. Save. Let me fix these errors. And, oh, I know why that's happening. I need to remove console util as a I had it in there as a optional thing in case. But anyway, let me get rid of it. Cool, it builds. Let's just run the game with just custom console commands enabled. Gimme command, I guess we can have enabled. It's not going to do anything yet. We do need to run the game with SKSE because using the UI script at all, which talks to Swift files, requires SKSE. So there's no way to get any of this working without SKSE. Truck backing up, it's annoying. Yay! Custom console commands was called with foo. Let me get rid of that notification up there that said allowed command to run. That's from my debugging from console helper. When QQQ isn't working, because right now we're not actually handling any of these things, so I have to quit the game old school. That was actually because I had my little demo running, my demo that took over custom console commands. We could do this. QQQ will always work from the home screen. We could say print called with if command text equals QQQ, then we'll actually run console helper dot execute command QQQ. We could use the utility or game or something to quit to desktop, but we can also just execute a command. So now if we go in and try and like player dot add item gold or something, that won't work because we've taken over the console. We've completely taken over all the commands. So let's try player add item F100. It just says, hey, custom console commands was called with that. We don't get any gold. Ooh, it was called with QQQ. I didn't compile. Oh, I tried to. It just failed. On line 24, what did I do wrong? If command text equals one equal sign. Needs to be two equal signs. Doi. So now, as you can see, we're just going to search, look at the prefixes, and find the first prefix that matches. Now, we could complain if there's an ambiguous one, but I'd also like to stop searching the list as soon as we hit the first alias that matches. Blah. Player add item F100 doesn't work. QQQ goes straight through, and you could see it printed out briefly. Hey, this was printed with, but then it actually ran the command. Cool. And execute command works so long as you're using the custom Swift, which is built into console helper, which is going to be built into the custom console commands release that I push out there, probably. Okay, so now what we actually want to do is we want to find the matching command. Car alarm. Okay, it stopped. So let's do this. Let's say find matching prefix. We could say var command name equals find command name for command text. String command text. And now we're either looking for something that starts with the prefix followed by a space, or just as the prefix if that's the full length. So we can look for it followed by a space at the beginning. So let's loop through all of these, which right now will be empty, but we'll create the arrays here. So in no time, we'll have the actual command registration up and running. Index equals 0, while index is less than the length of the prefixes, and while index that equals 1. Just return empty string if we don't find it. So what we'll do is string prefix equals prefix is at this index. This truck's backing up and it just drives me crazy. If command text dot, so if we look in command text, so that's string util find. I think the Fallout 4 folks can just say string.find potentially. They could do that on arrays. Find in the command text, looking for the prefix. Say int prefix index equals that. If the index is greater than -1, so it was found in there, then I'll say if if the prefix length, so if the string util get length of the prefix, so let's go ahead and cache that. No, it can't because we're looping. If the length of the prefix equals string util dot length of the command, that we can cache. Int command length equals string util get length command text. If it was found and they're equal lengths, then it has to be it. There's no other way for it to be it. Or it's followed by a space. That's what we're looking for. So or, let's see, found it. Or if the substring from the beginning, going from the length of the prefix plus 1 equals the prefix plus a space. So we can just say if the string util find in command text prefix plus space equals 0. In other words, it's the beginning. Then we found it. So we're going to return the command names at that index. Let's actually return the index so that we can get this immediately as well. So find command name for command index int command index. Find command index for command or something, for command text. Let's just do find command index. You okay, puppy dog? You can come hang out with me if you want. How you doing, puppy dog? Then we'll return -1 because we didn't find it. Cool. Because then we can say string command equals registered command names at that index. If there was one. So if command index is greater than -1, else end if. So if we found it, and that means a command, a custom command matches, then let's get some information about it. Otherwise, let's just run the command, because it's not ours. It's the built-in command or something. It's someone else's. Let's do, at some point I'm going to need to find a way to make this play nicely with other registrants of the custom console commands. Because after I get all this released, I'm going to make another project. And I'll just change this stuff then. String command equals, and then I want the console command command equals these console commands at the command index as a console command. And it'll work because it's a form array and quests are forms. Awesome. Super awesome. I think that'll work. I think that'll get us the instance. I could be wicked wrong. But we'll find out. We'll find out. Let's make this work, but I'm also going to say function string name of this console command. I'm going to put this in Gimme. String function name of this console command return gimme, and we'll make another one that returns something different. So here's gimme command, foo command, that's our foo command. I'm going to use that to test if alias, let's change alias to be, what do we set it to? Short. Come on, alias short. Okay, cool. Now what we want to do is we want to actually call the on command from this command. Isn't that what it's fucking called? Oh wait, we need a so let's have an event. We need this to have an event on command. And it'll have the same arguments that this takes. So here they're really overriding the base command. now we should be able to say on command. We give it the command name. Then we give it the subcommand, if there is one. Right now we just don't have one. I'm not doing that yet. And then arguments, let's just do none for right now. We'll do arguments afterwards. I mean, arguments isn't that bad. We just extract it from this. Let's just do let's do it after we get this working. So on command, execute command. If not, let's just say print passing along command to say command. I don't know if that can be or that should be console helper dot. See if that builds. If it does, let's see if our gimme and foo commands build. But nothing's going to work because the registration isn't doing anything. This calls register command prefix, so we just need to do that real quick. So we need to create the arrays. First, let's create them if they don't exist. Otherwise, we'll make them one bigger than they are. Okay, if and if, so if it doesn't exist, so we can just say initialize arrays or something. Request script. We could do it on init. No, we don't want to. We do want to do it down here because they should be initialized as none, which is what we want. Because there's nothing in them. And you know, if one of them doesn't exist, then none of them exist. Okay, Jeepers Creepers. So let's say that equals a new string array of size 1 equals a new string array of size 1 equals a new form array of size 1. Otherwise, if it already exists, we're going to make them longer. So let's switch these for better logic. If it exists, we'll do something. Otherwise, we'll initialize them. So if it exists, we'll say this equals utility.resize string array. String array is called this, and the size is that length plus 1. We want to make it 1 bigger so that we can add to it. Deregistration is gonna suck. We'll figure it out. I hope this can store. I think the scripts will be the equivalent of an object reference, an instance of a form, and I think we'll be good. Otherwise, we're totally fucked. So it's form array of console commands length plus 1. Okay, cool. Now we've got them. And now we need to put stuff inside of them. We want this, the prefix, the command name, the command. So we just say command prefixes, the one at the end, which is going to be prefixes length -1, gets you the last slot, equals prefix. Then we do this literally for all of the other ones, just command names and commands. Cool, now registration should work. God, if that truck doesn't stop backing up out there, fucking up my screencast. Beep, 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 beep. I don't expect this to work. For all I know, it'll CTD. And like every time I unpause the truck, it goes again. Okay. I wasn't thinking it would work. But let's make sure that we're at least printing out what we find. Console helper dot print called console with and command text found index and command index console helper dot print all command names and then console helper dot print all aliases, prefixes rather. Okay. We're never calling the so gimme has this config. That's where command gets called. And we've implemented command to call register command prefix, which we've implemented to set up the arrays and put stuff in. And from the get-go, whenever custom console commands is installed at the moment, you'll start listening. Let's say only listen if there are any commands, and then down here we'll say start listening if there were previously no commands. We'll do that later. But the config, this thing, is never being called. So let's call it whenever the quest is initialized. So event on init and event. I'm not sure how to deal with player load games with this, but we will figure it out. We'll call config. And so function config is meant to be overridden. It could be an event on config. Yeah, it's an event. It just could be a function. You could say on config. This would be a function called config or an event. I like config better. I seriously just can't get a break with city sounds today. Whatever, I made it a function. We can change the interface whenever we want. So I'm going to say function config. intended to be overridden. Cool. I don't expect it to work yet, but let's go in game. When the quests get initialized, we register the commands. Foo not found. Called console with foo. Found the next -1. That's the problem. Gimme was added, but not foo. Ooh, passing along gimme to gimme command. That is nice. That is what I want to see, which is an instance of 800. So gimme was actually added. Let's have gimme print out something when it gets called. Hello from gimme. Okay, so on command isn't triggering. Or we never implemented print. Console helper dot print text. It's just a nice little shortcut for them. Okay, so why isn't foo working? Foo command. It's supposed to be a function config. I don't know if that matters. Command foo. Now there's a fucking dog barking on this floor. Foo is probably not hooked up to the gimme command mod. Doi. Gimme command. Creation kit. I mean, it's just a script. It's just a script, but it's attached to nothing. There's a dog on my floor that never shuts up. She never shuts up. Okay, so we had the gimme command. Let me add the foo one. Foo command, cool. You put a list of all of your commands here. That's basically how it works. Now let's run SKIC. Let's take a look-see. Foo. Hello from foo. Gimme. Hello from gimme. Freaking epic. There's gimme gimme, and there's so if we try G hello, it still works. So G works. If I say great, doesn't work, which is good. Foot doesn't work. Foo blah works. Those are the things that we wanted. Okay, so I could hang out and do all the options and do the subcommands and flags and stuff, but it's just going to be text parsing. It's just going to be text parsing into arrays. Do you want that? We're just over an hour, so I think I'll call it quits. Because we implemented it. We implemented it. We could do this. We could go to our little thing here, get rid of all of these, save build, go into game. Cool, that makes the rain go away. Foo. We're passing along to foo. Let's get rid of that. There we go, passing along to. Cool. Good girl, you sleepy? Oh, good girl. You want to come say hi to the audience? I'm about to say happy morning to them. You want to come say hi before I say happy morning? There's Foo, and there's Gimme. Cool, and you passed along some arguments. I'm not setting that yet. But that stuff's really easy. It's just like string parsing. Cool, in the first episode, we designed an interface, and in this episode, we implemented the script interface. It's obviously more for me to implement, but that's the basics. So thank you for hanging out. I don't think I could have done this without you. I'm going to go get her done right now so I can get this out. And yeah, I think this is really cool. This works really, really well. So, hey, thank you everyone. And as always, happy modding. Happy modding, everyone.